You watch Manchester City play on a Saturday. You fly on Etihad Airways on a Tuesday. You eat at a restaurant in Abu Dhabi on Thursday. You walk past a Louvre museum, not in Paris, but in the desert. And somewhere behind all of it, quietly, invisibly, sits one family, one Arab family that has built an empire so enormous, so deeply embedded in the global economy, that most people on Earth interact with their assets every single week without ever knowing it. This is the story of the Al Nahyan family of Abu Dhabi. And by the end of this video, you will understand why they may be the most powerful family alive today. Let us start with a number that will break your brain: $2 trillion. That is the estimated total wealth managed by Abu Dhabi's sovereign wealth funds as of 2024. $2 trillion. That is more than the entire GDP of the Netherlands and Switzerland combined. And who controls it all? One family. The Al Nahyans, ranked the second richest family in the entire world in 2024. Not a company, not a government institution, a family. So how does a family that rules a patch of desert on the Persian Gulf, a place that 60 years ago had no paved roads, no running water, and no schools, end up controlling more wealth than most countries on Earth? To understand that, we need to go back to 1966. Abu Dhabi, 1966. The emirate is a backwater, a small fishing and pearl diving community on the edge of the Arabian desert. The population is tiny. The infrastructure is almost non-existent. And then, oil. Not a little oil. Enormous, world-changing quantities of oil. Abu Dhabi turns out to be sitting on top of roughly 6% of the entire planet's proven oil reserves. And in 1966, a man named Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan takes power. He will go on to become the founding father of the United Arab Emirates and the architect of everything that follows. Sheikh Zayed does something that very few rulers of oil-rich nations have ever done properly. He does not just spend the oil money. He thinks about what happens when the oil runs out. He looks at his tiny desert emirate, and he asks one question: how do we make this wealth last forever? And the answer he comes up with is one of the most sophisticated financial strategies any government has ever attempted. In 1976, Sheikh Zayed creates the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. ADIA, a sovereign wealth fund whose entire purpose is to take the oil money flowing into Abu Dhabi and invest it globally in stocks, real estate, infrastructure, private equity, bonds, everything. Every dollar earned from oil goes back into the world economy, earning more money. Money, making money, forever. Today, ADIA manages over $1 trillion in assets. It invests in virtually every major market on Earth. It owns stakes in companies across the United States, Europe, Asia, and Australia. It bought a stake in Chicago's parking meters in 2008, and that investment alone now generates over $150 million every single year. Just from parking meters. In Chicago. This is what patient, long-term investing looks like at the sovereign level. But ADIA is just the beginning, because the Al Nahyan family did not build one wealth machine. They built several. And each one is run by a different brother. Meet the brothers. Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, known as Mubadala, is the current president of the UAE and the ruler of Abu Dhabi. He is the strategic brain of the entire operation. Under his leadership, Abu Dhabi stopped being a quiet emirate content to sit in Dubai's shadow and became what it calls today the capital of capital. Then there is Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan. You know his name, even if you do not know you know it. He is the man who in September 2008 walked into English football and wrote a cheque for £210 million to buy Manchester City Football Club. At the time, Manchester City were a mid-table Premier League club that had not won the league title in 34 years. What happened next is one of the greatest transformations in the history of sport. Under Sheikh Mansour's ownership, Manchester City have won the Premier League title 10 times. They won the Champions League in 2023. And that football club is now just one piece of something much bigger, the City Football Group, which owns or has stakes in 12 football clubs across 12 different countries. Manchester City, New York City FC, Melbourne City, Mumbai City, Yokohama F. Marinos in Japan, clubs in Spain, France, Belgium, Brazil, Uruguay, Turkey and China. One man, one family, 12 clubs, every continent. And then there is Sheikh Tahnoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan. This is the brother that almost nobody outside of finance and intelligence circles talks about. He is described by Bloomberg as the man who oversees close to 3/4 of Abu Dhabi's entire sovereign wealth. He chairs ADIA. He chairs ADQ, another massive fund. He runs Royal Group, a private company with 27,000 employees working in finance, robotics, food, fashion and space technology. And in his spare time, he is also the Way's national security advisor and de facto head of the country's intelligence apparatus. He is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He keeps an extremely low profile, and he is arguably one of the most powerful individuals on the planet that you have never heard of. Now let us talk about what this family actually owns, because the list is genuinely jaw-dropping. They own Manchester City Football Club and 12 other clubs worldwide through City Football Group. They own Etihad Airways, one of the world's largest airlines. They own a majority stake in Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, ADNOC, one of the 5 largest oil producers on Earth. They own Mubadala Investment Company, which manages over $300 billion in global assets and has invested in everything from semiconductor companies to Virgin Galactic to Rihanna's lingerie brand Savage X Fenty. They backed Elon Musk's SpaceX. They financed a $200 billion artificial intelligence deal with the United States in 2025. They own most of Berkeley Square in London, one of the most expensive pieces of real estate in the world. They own a chateau north of Paris. They opened a branch of the Louvre Museum in Abu Dhabi, putting one of France's greatest cultural institutions in the middle of the Arabian desert. They own the world's largest magnetite iron ore mine in Australia. They control First Abu Dhabi Bank, the UAE's biggest lender. They own Abu Dhabi airports. They own Etihad Rail. They own ports. They own hospitals. They own universities. They own Lulu hypermarkets. They own the company that manages McDonald's across a significant chunk of the Middle East. They funded AI infrastructure deals worth tens of billions. They have invested in critical minerals, data centers, and semiconductor supply chains as the world races toward artificial intelligence. And all of this, every single piece of it, flows back to one family that rules a city you can drive across in under 30 minutes. So how did they do it? What is the actual playbook behind this empire? The first move is what every great empire builder does. They turned a single resource into a permanent wealth machine. Oil could have been spent. Instead, Sheikh Zayed invested it. ADIA was designed to survive long after the oil runs out. That is generational thinking at its finest. The second move is diversification. Aggressive, relentless, global diversification. Sports, technology, real estate, infrastructure, culture, fashion, space. The Al Nahyans have spread their capital across every major growth sector of the modern economy. When oil fades, they will not fade with it. The third move is soft power. Buying Manchester City was not just a business decision, it was a strategy. Overnight, the name Abu Dhabi was associated with Premier League titles and Champions League glory. Hundreds of millions of football fans around the world now have a positive emotional connection to Abu Dhabi. The Louvre Abu Dhabi does the same thing. So does Etihad's global aviation network. So do the investments in Hollywood studios and media companies. The Al Nahyans understood something most rulers never grasp, that in the modern world, the most durable form of power is not military strength. It is cultural influence, and they bought it deliberately. The fourth move is family unity. Each brother controls a different part of the empire. Mohamed runs the country. Mansour runs sport and soft power. Tahnoon runs intelligence and private investment. Mansour chairs Mubadala. Tahnoon chairs ADIA and ADC. They are not competing with each other. They are dividing the world between them, and because they trust each other absolutely, the whole system stays coordinated. This is the Rothschild playbook, updated for the 21st century. Different brothers, different cities, except instead of Frankfurt, London, Paris, Vienna and Naples, it is Abu Dhabi, Manchester, New York, Silicon Valley and Brussels. And the scale of ambition only keeps growing. Abu Dhabi's sovereign funds invested $36 billion in just the first 3 quarters of 2024 alone. They are projected to manage $3.4 trillion by 2030. $3.4 trillion. At that point, this family will control more capital than the entire GDP of Germany, the 5th largest economy on earth. So what do we learn from the Al Nahyan story? Number 1. The most powerful empires of the 21st century are built with capital, not armies. Number 2. Long-term thinking beats short-term spending every single time. Sheikh Zayed could have distributed Abu Dhabi's oil wealth directly to the people and spent it in a generation. Instead, he planted trees whose shade he would never sit under. Number 3. Soft power is real power. Owning a football club is not vanity. It is strategy. It is reputation. It is influence that money alone cannot buy. Number 4. Family unity is a competitive advantage. Most dynasties collapse because brothers fight over inheritance. The Al Nahyans assigned roles and stayed coordinated. And number 5. Diversification is survival. Never build your entire empire on one thing, no matter how valuable that one thing is today. The Al Nahyan family started in a fishing village with no roads. They built the world's richest city. They bought the world's most famous football clubs. They opened a Louvre in the desert. They funded the AI revolution, and they are just getting started. If this video blew your mind, smash that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel grow. Subscribe for more stories like this every single week. And drop in the comments, which empire should I uncover next? I will see you in the next one.